The drift was the ugliest place had ever seen, and he had seen many ugly places in his 34 years of life. The space station floated at the edge of nowhere, far from any government or law. Rust covered its walls. The air smelled like oil and sweat and something rotten. Thousands of beings from hundreds of worlds walked through its narrow halls, buying and selling things that should never be bought or sold. Moved through the crowd with his head down. He was a tall man with broad shoulders and a face full of old scars. His black hair was cut short, and his eyes were tired. He wore a worn leather jacket over simple clothes, and a plasma pistol hung at his hip. He was here for ship parts, nothing more. His vessel, the Wandering Star, needed a new power converter. Without it, he would be stuck floating dead in space within a month. The main market was loud and bright. Vendors shouted prices. Aliens of all shapes argued over goods. Found the parts dealer he was looking for, a four-armed creature with too many teeth. Converter for a Ranger-class vessel, said, Model 7. The dealer laughed. Model 7, old ship, very old, I have one, 3,000 credits. That's robbery. Then go somewhere else. The dealer smiled with all 3 rows of teeth. Oh wait, there is nowhere else. Paid, he had no choice. With the part in his bag, he started walking back toward the docking bay. But the station was like a maze and he took a wrong turn. Then another. The halls grew darker. The crowds grew thinner. The smell grew worse. He found himself in a part of the station he had never seen before. The lights here were red and dim. The people here moved like shadows, and they looked at him with hungry eyes. Then he heard the voices. They came from behind a large metal door. Many voices, shouting and laughing, should have walked away. That was the smart thing to do, but something made him stop. Something made him listen. Next item, a voice announced through a speaker. Very special, very rare. Pushed the door open just a crack. He looked inside. It was an auction hall. Hundreds of beings sat in seats that rose up like stairs. At the bottom was a stage, bright with white light. A fat creature with gray skin and small eyes stood at a podium. Behind him, guards held chains. And at the end of those chains was a child. His heart stopped. The boy was small, maybe 12 years old by human standards. His skin was pale blue, like a winter sky. His hair was white as snow. His eyes were silver and too large for his face, and they held a fear so deep it made his chest hurt. The boy wore rags. His wrists were locked in energy shackles that glowed red. He was shaking. A juvenile, the fat auctioneer announced. His name was, and his voice was oily with greed. One of the last of his kind, maybe the very last. His species is nearly extinct. Do you know what that means? The crowd murmured with excitement. It means he is priceless, continued. They were keepers of ancient knowledge. Their children are born with gifts beyond understanding. This one is young, trainable, and completely alone in the universe. Perfect for labor, perfect for entertainment, perfect for whatever you desire. Some beings in the crowd laughed. It was an ugly sound. We will start the bidding at 50,000 credits. Hands rose, numbers climbed, 50,000, 70, 100. Stood frozen at the door. His mind told him to leave. This was not his problem. He was nobody. He had no money. He had no power. He was just a salvage captain with a broken ship and too many debts. But his body would not move. He kept staring at the boy, at those silver eyes, at the way the child tried so hard not to cry. Had a brother once. His name was. He was 12 years old when the colony wars took him. Had been 19, a young soldier, and he had promised to protect his little brother. He had failed, died scared and alone, and had carried that weight for 15 years. Now he looked at this alien child, and he saw his eyes. 200,000, someone called. The voice came from a creature in the front row. It was massive, with pale flesh and no eyes, just a mouth full of needle teeth. A collector. Everyone knew what collectors did with their purchases. The boy saw the creature bidding on him. A small sound escaped his throat, not quite a scream, something worse, the sound of hope dying. 200,000 from Lord, said happily. Do I hear more? His hand rose before he could stop it. 250,000, he heard himself say. The entire room turned to look at him, squinted at this human in the cheap jacket. You have this money. I have it. He did not have it. He had maybe 3,000 credits to his name. 300,000, Lord said, his needle teeth clicking. 350, said. The boy was looking at him now. Those silver eyes were wide with confusion. Why was this human bidding? Why would anyone help him? 400,000, Lord growled. He was getting angry. The crowd whispered. This was entertainment for them. His mind raced. He could not win this. He could not afford even a fraction of this price. But he could not stop. He kept seeing his brother's face. 500,000, said. Lord stood from his seat. His massive body unfolded and he turned toward. Human, he said, and his voice was like rocks grinding together. You do not want to play this game with me. Maybe not, said, but I'm playing anyway. 1,000,000 credits, Lord said. Let us end this foolishness. The crowd gasped, clapped his hands with joy. Felt his hope crumble. He could not match that. There was no way. But then he looked at the boy one more time. The child was crying now, silent tears running down his blue cheeks. He knew what was coming. He knew who had won. And something inside broke. He pulled his pistol and shot the main power line above the stage. The room went dark. Screams erupted. Bodies crashed into each other. In the chaos, moved. He had been a soldier once and his body remembered. He ran through the darkness, jumped onto the stage and grabbed the boy. The energy shackles were strong but was stronger. He had tools in his jacket for ship repairs. He used them now, forcing the shackles open. Come with me, he said to the boy. Run. The child did not hesitate. He grabbed his hand and they ran. Behind them was screaming. Guards were firing blind. Lord was roaring with fury. But knew the station's layout now. He had studied maps during his walk. He dragged the boy through service tunnels, past confused workers, down ladders, and through maintenance shafts. 10 minutes later, they burst into the docking bay. The wandering star waited, old and ugly but ready to fly. Inside said, now. They ran up the ramp, sealed the door and sprinted to the cockpit. His hands flew over the controls. The ship groaned to life. Behind them, guards poured into the docking bay. Weapons fired. Shots hit the hull. Pushed the engines to full. The wandering star screamed out of the station and into open space. Within seconds, they hit the hyperspace jump point. The stars stretched into lines. The drift disappeared behind them. They were free. Sat back in his pilot's chair, his heart pounding. His hands were shaking. He had just made himself an enemy of very powerful people. He had destroyed his life for a stranger. He turned to look at the boy. The child stood in the doorway of the cockpit, still crying, still shaking. But there was something new in his silver eyes, something like wonder. Why, the boy whispered, why did you save me? Did not have a good answer, so he said the only truth he knew. Because someone should have. The boy was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke again, his voice small and broken. You should not have saved me. Now they will come for you too. Looked at the stars rushing past his window. He thought about what he had done. He thought about what was coming. Let them come, he said quietly. He did not know then what he had started. He did not know about the secrets the boy carried, or the powers he held, or the war that would follow. All he knew was that, for the first time in 15 years, he felt like the man his brother had believed him to be. And that was enough. The wandering star drifted through empty space, far from any charted route, had turned off all signals and beacons. He wanted to disappear, at least for a while. 3 days had passed since the auction. 3 days of silence and hiding and fear. The boy had not spoken again after that first night. He sat in the corner of the cargo bay, knees pulled to his chest, watching everything with those two large silver eyes. He ate the food brought him, but slowly, carefully, like he expected it to be taken away. On the fourth morning, sat down across from him with 2 bowls of rice porridge. "You need to eat more," said. "You're too thin." The boy looked at the bowl but did not move. "I'm not going to hurt you," said. "I promise." "Promises break," the boy whispered. It was the first time he had spoken in days. Felt a pain in his chest. "Some do, mine don't." He started eating his own porridge, not looking at the boy, giving him space. After a long moment, the boy picked up his bowl and began to eat. "What's your name?" asked. The boy made a sound. It was soft and musical like water over stones, but it had no words that human ears could understand. "That's your name." The boy nodded. "I can't say that," admitted. "Can I call you something else, a human name?" The boy thought about this. "You may choose." Looked at him for a long time. He thought about his brother, about the boy who had died too young. He said, "I'll call you." The boy tested the word on his tongue. "What does it mean?" "It was my brother's name." The silver eye studied him. "Your brother is dead." It was not a question. "Yes," said, "a long time ago." "I am sorry," said, and could hear that he meant it. After breakfast, showed around the ship. It was not large. There was the cockpit at the front, then the main living area with a small kitchen and table, then 2 sleeping rooms, and finally the cargo bay at the back. The engine room sat below everything, accessible through a ladder. "It's not much," said, "but it's home." Touched the walls gently, feeling the metal. "It feels safe," he said. "It is for now." A voice came from the engine room ladder. "Captain, the new converter is installed. We should have full power in about an hour." Jumped back in fear. A woman climbed up through the floor, wiping grease from her hands. She was young, maybe 28, with short black hair and sharp eyes. Her name was, and she had been engineer for 2 years. She looked at her. "So this is the alien kid," said. "The one you destroyed your entire life for." Warned. "What? I'm not wrong." She crossed her arms. "Do you know how much trouble we're in? Has connections everywhere. There's probably a bounty on your head by now, on all our heads." "I know." "And you did it anyway." "I did." Stared at him. Then she looked at again. The boy was pressed against the wall, trying to make himself small. He was terrified of her. Something in his face softened, just a little. "Are you hungry, kid?" she asked. Blinked. "I already ate." "Good, because I don't share my snacks." She turned and walked toward the cockpit. "I'll check the navigation systems. We should find somewhere to hide, somewhere they won't think to look." When she was gone, looked at with confusion. She is angry, but she stayed. She complains about everything, but she always stays. Why? Smiled. "Because she's family." Over the next week, slowly began to open up. He told about his people. They had been an ancient race, older than most civilizations in the galaxy. They lived peaceful lives on a beautiful world of crystal mountains and silver seas. They did not fight wars. They did not seek power. They only wanted to learn and to remember. "My people were keepers," explained one evening. "They sat in the main room, drinking tea that had found in an old cabinet. We kept knowledge. We remembered everything. The history of the galaxy, the secrets of the stars, things that happened before most species even existed." "That sounds important," said. "It was." Thighs grew sad. "That is why they killed us." The story came out slowly, painfully. 3 years ago, a group of powerful corporations had come to They wanted something the protected, something valuable beyond measure. They refused to give it. So the corporations burned their world. "They killed everyone," whispered. My mother, my father, my teachers, everyone I knew. I only survived because my mother hid me. She put me in a small ship and sent me away. I watched our world burn from space. Sat in silence. He did not know what to say. What could anyone say to that? The slavers found me a year later, continued. They kept me hidden, waiting for the right buyer, someone who would pay a fortune for the last. Why are you so valuable? Asked gently. What do you carry? Looked at him with those ancient silver eyes. I cannot tell you, not yet, you are not ready, no human is ready. Nodded, okay, when you're ready then. Seemed surprised by this. You are not going to force me. No. But you could sell this information, make yourself rich, save yourself from the people chasing us. Shook his head. I didn't save you to use you, I saved you because it was right. The boy stared at him for a long, long time. Then slowly he smiled. It was small and weak, but it was real. You are strange, said. My people watched your species for a long time. We could never decide if humans were wonderful or terrible. We're both, said. Every single one of us, that's the human way. 2 days later, the pirates found them. The ship shook with impact. Alarms screamed. Ran to the cockpit to find already at the controls, her face tight with fear. 3 ships, she said, small and fast, they're not here to talk. Can we run? Not fast enough. Another impact, sparks flew from a console. They're trying to disable us, said. They want aboard. Grabbed a rifle from the weapon locker, then we fight. Against 3 ships of pirates, are you insane? Probably. Another hit. The lights flickered. Through the window, could see one of the pirate vessels moving closer, preparing to dock. Then something strange happened. Walked into the cockpit. His small body was calm, his silver eyes were glowing. Actually glowing like stars had been lit inside them. Get back, said. It's not safe. I know, the boy said. That is why I must help. He raised his hands. His eyes blazed white. Reality bent. There was no other way to describe it. The space around the pirate ships twisted like water. The attacking vessels froze in place, their engines still firing but going nowhere. And inside those ships, somehow new, the crews were screaming. They were seeing things, living their worst nightmares, experiencing every fear they had ever felt all at once. It lasted 3 seconds. Then dropped his hands. The glow faded from his eyes. The pirate ships suddenly came alive again, but they did not attack. They turned and fled, running as fast as their engines could carry them. Collapsed. Caught him before he hit the floor. The boy was shaking, his body cold, his breathing weak. What did you do? Whispered. I showed them fear, said, his voice barely audible. It is one of the gifts my people kept, the ability to touch minds, to show truth or terror. He looked up with exhausted eyes. I am sorry. I did not want you to see. I did not want you to be afraid of me. Looked at this small alien child who had just saved all their lives. This boy who had lost everything and everyone. This lonely keeper of terrible secrets. He was not afraid. He picked up gently and carried him toward the sleeping quarters. Rest, kid, said softly. We'll talk when you're ready. His eyes closed, but before sleep took him, he whispered one more thing. Thank you for not running away. Laid him on the bed and covered him with a blanket. I don't run from family, he said. He did not know if heard him, but he hoped he did. In the cockpit, sat in silence, staring at the empty space where the pirates had been. What is that, kid? She asked when returned. Someone worth protecting, said. That night a transmission reached the ship. It was from the Galactic Corporate Council, the most powerful organization in known space. Their message was short. Captain, we know what you have. We will pay you 100 million credits for the child. This is a one-time offer. Deleted the message. An hour later, another transmission came. This time it was not an offer. You have refused our generosity. This was foolish. We are coming for you, Captain. We will find you. And when we do, you will die slowly and we will take what is ours. Turned off the communication system. He walked to the room where slept. The boy looked peaceful for the first time since had met him. Don't worry, said quietly to the sleeping child. They'll have to go through me first. Outside the window, the stars continued to burn. Somewhere in that vast darkness, powerful enemies were gathering. But was not afraid. He had something worth fighting for now. And that made all the difference. New was not beautiful, but it was free. The colony sat on a cold moon at the edge of human space. Its buildings were made of gray metal and recycled parts. Its streets were muddy when it rained and frozen when it did not. The people who lived there were miners and farmers and refugees, all of them running from something. It was the perfect place to hide. Landed the wandering star at the colony's small port on a morning when snow was falling. He had not been here in 5 years, but he remembered it well. This was where he had served his last days as a soldier. This was where he had met the woman who saved his life. Park was waiting at the dock. She was tall and strong, with gray hair cut short and a face lined by hard years. She had been a captain in the Republic Marines, commanding officer, and she had pulled him from the wreckage of a burning transport when everyone else had left him to die. She said as he walked down the ramp, I heard you made some powerful enemies. Word travels fast. Word always travels fast when the bounty is this big. She looked past him at the ship. Where is the child? Turned, stood at the top of the ramp, half hidden behind a support beam. He was scared of this new place, these new people. Called gently, come, she's a friend. The boy walked down slowly, his silver eyes watching everything. When he reached side, he grabbed the man's hand and held tight. Knelt down to look at him, her hard face softened. Hello, little one, she said. My name is You're safe here, I promise. Studied her for a long moment, then he nodded. She tells the truth, he said quietly too. I can feel it. Raised an eyebrow but said nothing. She stood and led them into the colony. New was busier than remembered. People filled the streets going about their daily lives. Children ran between buildings, laughing and playing. Markets sold food and clothes and tools. It was not rich, but it was alive. We've grown, explained as they walked. More refugees every year. People looking for a place where no corporation controls their lives. That's why I came here, said. No corporate presence. Not officially, but they have spies everywhere. You won't be able to hide for long. I know. I just need time to figure out what to do next. Brought them to a small house near the edge of town. It was simple but warm, with thick walls to keep out the cold. You can stay here, she said. I'll have supplies brought. The doctor will come check on the boy. Thank you, I owe you. You owe me nothing. You saved my life once. Now I save yours, we're even. She left them to settle in. Over the next few days, experienced human life for the first time. The colony children were curious about him. At first they kept their distance, whispering and pointing at the blue-skinned boy with the strange eyes. But children are children everywhere in the galaxy, and soon they started talking to him. A little girl named shared her lunch with him. A boy named showed him how to play a game with stones. An old woman named Grandmother Bang gave him a warm blanket she had made herself. Your people are strange, told one evening. They sat by a fire, watching the stars through the window. How so? You live such short lives. Humans rarely see 100 years. My people lived for thousands. Pulled the blanket around his shoulders. Yet you feel everything so deeply. That old woman who gave me this blanket, she has known me for 3 days. 3 days, but she treated me like family. That's humanity, said. We don't have time to wait. If we feel something, we act on it. My people debated and discussed everything for centuries before acting, said. Maybe that is why we are gone and you are still here." The doctor came the next morning. His name was, and he was old and gentle, with kind eyes behind thick glasses. He examined carefully, taking notes on everything. "Remarkable," he kept saying. "Absolutely remarkable." "Is he healthy?" asked. "He is thin and tired, but he will recover. His biology is fascinating. His cells repair themselves at incredible rates, and his brain," shook his head in wonder. "I have never seen neural activity like this. It is like his mind holds an ocean where ours hold a cup." Sat quietly through the examination. When left, he looked at. "He wanted to study me more," said. "I could feel it, but he held back because he knew it would make me uncomfortable." He's a good man." "There are many good people here," said, sounding surprised. "More than I expected." "Did you think all humans were bad?" "I did not know what to think. My people watched your species for a long time. We saw great kindness and great cruelty. We could never understand how both could exist in the same beings." Laugh softly, "Neither can we." The peace lasted 5 days. On the 6th morning, the bounty hunters arrived. There were a dozen of them, hard men with weapons and armor, tracking the signal from ship. They came at dawn, when the colony was still waking up. Heard the shots and grabbed his rifle. He ran outside to find chaos. People were screaming and running. The hunters were pushing through the streets, searching every building. Appeared beside him, her own weapon ready. "Get the boy out," she said. "I'll hold them off." "There's too many." "I don't care, go." But before could move was already outside. The boy stood in the middle of the street facing the hunters. His eyes were not glowing. He was not using his power. He was just standing there, a small blue child in a world of violence. "Stop," said. His voice was quiet, but somehow everyone heard it. The hunters laughed. Their leader, a man with metal teeth, walked toward. "Little alien freak," the hunter said. "Do you know how much money you're worth? Come quietly, and I won't hurt your human friends." "You will hurt them anyway," said. "You hurt people for money. That is all you know." The hunter raised his weapon. Then something happened that would remember for the rest of his life. The colonists came out of their homes. Not soldiers, not fighters, just people. Miners with pickaxes, farmers with tools, mothers and fathers and grandparents. Even children stood at their parents' sides. They formed a wall around, dozens of them, then hundreds. Grandmother Bong stepped forward, her old body bent but unafraid. "You will not take this child," she said. "He is one of us now." The hunter stared in disbelief. "Are you insane? We're armed, we're trained killers. What are you going to do, hit us with farming tools?" "If we must," another voice said. It was father, a miner with arms thick from years of hard labor. "There are more of us than you. You might kill some, but not all, and the survivors will tear you apart with our bare hands." "Why?" the hunter demanded. "He's not even human." "He's a child," said, stepping forward with her rifle. "That's enough." The hunter looked around at the crowd. He saw something in their eyes, something dangerous. These were people who had nothing to lose and everything to protect. For a moment the street was silent. Then the hunter lowered his weapon. "This isn't worth it," he said to his men. "We'll find another way." They left. Their ships rose into the sky and disappeared among the clouds. When they were gone, the colonists cheered. They hugged each other. They hugged. The boy stood in the center of it all, tears running down his blue cheeks. "Why?" he asked. "Why did they do that? They could have died." "Because you're worth protecting," said, "and humans don't abandon their own." "But I'm not human." Grandmother Bong heard this. She walked over and took his face in her wrinkled hands. "You are now," she said. That night sat with on the roof of the house, watching the moons rise. "They'll come back," said, "with more men, more weapons." "I know. You should run." "I can't, not anymore. Running is what got us here. running is all has known for 3 years. Looked at the colony below, at the lights in the windows, the smoke rising from chimneys. These people stood for him today. I won't abandon them. Nodded slowly, then we fight. We fight. A week later, the mercenaries came. Not bounty hunters this time. Professional soldiers in military-grade armor sent by the corporations themselves. Their ships darkened the sky. Their weapons could level the entire colony. Organized the defense. He trained the colonists to fight. He set traps and barriers. He knew it was not enough, but he did it anyway. The battle began at dawn. It was brutal. The mercenaries had training and equipment. The colonists had numbers and desperation. People died. Buildings burned. Blood stained the muddy streets. Fought at the front. He took wounds that should have stopped him, but he kept moving, kept shooting, kept protecting. Beside him fought and dozens of colonists who had never held a weapon before this week. But it was not enough. The mercenaries pushed forward. They broke through the barriers. They reached the center of town, where waited with the children and elderly. A mercenary captain cornered them. He raised his weapon threw himself in front of the blast. The energy bolt hit him in the chest. He fell. The world went white with pain. He lay on the ground, bleeding, dying. He could hear screaming his name. He could feel his life slipping away. Then something warm touched his chest. Knelt over him, tears streaming down his face, his small hands pressed against the wound. His eyes blazed with silver light. No, whispered, don't, your power. Quiet said, let me do this. Let me save you like you saved me. The light grew brighter, and suddenly he saw everything. Stars being born, galaxies spinning through the void, ancient beings walking on worlds long dead. The history of the universe unfolded before him, millions of years in a single heartbeat. He saw in their glory, keepers of knowledge beyond imagination. He saw what they protected, the keys, the ability to reshape reality itself, the power that the corporations wanted, the power they had killed billions to obtain. He understood now why it was so valuable, why they could never let him be captured. Then the vision faded, the light dimmed, collapsed beside him. Sat up, his wound was healed, his body was whole, but was pale, weaker than before. He had given something precious to save. Years of his own life burned away in an instant. And whispered, I showed you a fraction of what I carry, the boy said weakly. Now you understand why they killed my people, why they can never have me. He took his hand, and why I must show you everything. Outside, the battle still raged, but something had changed. The mercenaries were retreating. Someone had called for help, and help had come. Ships filled the sky, dozens of them. Human ships from colonies across the sector, responding to a signal had sent weeks ago. Humanity had answered, and for the first time in years, allowed himself to hope. The wandering star flew through darkness that no human had ever seen. Sat in the co-pilot seat, his silver eyes closed, his mind guiding the ship through folds of space that should not exist. Beside him, watched the impossible view through the window. Stars twisted and bent. Colors that had no name danced across the void. How much farther? Asked. We are close, said. His voice was weak. He had not fully recovered from healing, and the effort of guiding the ship drained him further. The archive is hidden where no one can find it. My mother showed me the way before she sent me away. In the back of the ship, sat at the communication console. She had not spoken much since they left New. The battle had changed her. Watching people die had changed her. Watching nearly kill himself to save had changed her most of all. There, said suddenly, we have arrived. The twisted space opened up and gasped. Before them floated a structure that understanding. It was vast, larger than any station he had ever seen, made of crystal and light and something that might have been metal or might have been something else entirely. It glowed with soft silver radiance, the same color as eyes. The archive whispered, "The last sanctuary of my people, the place where we kept all that we knew." They docked at a port that opened for them like a flower greeting the sun. When the ship sealed and the air pressure matched, led them inside. The halls of the archive were silent and beautiful. Crystal walls showed images that moved and changed. Ancient symbols floated in the air, telling stories in languages older than humanity. Everything was preserved, perfect, waiting. "My people built this place 1,000,000 years ago," explained as they walked. "It exists in folded space, invisible to all sensors. Only a keeper can find it. Only a keeper can enter." "You said you wanted to show me everything," said. "What did you mean?" Stopped walking. He turned to face, his young face serious beyond his years. "When I healed you, I shared a fraction of what I carry. A glimpse. But to truly understand what is at stake, you must see more. You must see why the corporations want this knowledge so badly. Why they committed genocide to obtain it." "I'm ready." Shook his head. "No one is ever ready, but you have earned the truth. You protected me when no one else would. You risked everything for a stranger. You showed me what humanity can be at its best." He reached out and took his hand. "This will hurt," warned. "Your mind is not built for what I will show you, but I will be with you. I will guide you through." "Do it." His eyes blazed silver and fell into eternity. He saw the beginning, the first moment, the explosion of light and matter that created everything. He felt the universe expand, growing from a single point into infinite possibility. He saw the first stars ignite, the first planets form, the first life emerge from chemical soup, reaching toward the light. He saw civilizations rise and fall, species that had names no human tongue could speak, empires that spanned galaxies and crumbled to dust, wars that burned across the cosmos and peace that lasted for. He saw They were older than he had imagined. They had walked the stars when Earth was still a ball of molten rock. They had watched life evolve across countless worlds. They had learned the secrets of existence itself. And they had kept those secrets, guarded them, protected the galaxy from knowledge that could destroy everything. "The keys," Herd's voice, distant and close at the same time. "My people discovered them long ago. The fundamental codes that shape reality. With them you can heal any wound, cure any disease, make barren worlds bloom with life." The visions showed him the possibilities, deserts becoming gardens, the sick made whole, death itself pushed back. "But the keys can also destroy," continued. "They can unmake matter, erase stars, open doors to places that should never be opened." The visions darkened, saw worlds torn apart, suns going dark, and he saw something else, something vast and terrible that slept in the spaces between dimensions, things that were not alive but not dead, things that waited. "The corporations do not understand what they seek," said. "They think they want power, they think they want to become gods, but if they obtain the keys and use them without wisdom, they will wake the sleepers, and the sleepers will consume everything." Felt fear like he had never known, not fear for himself, fear for everyone, for humanity, for every living thing in the universe. Then the vision shifted again. He saw humanity, his own species from the outside as they had seen them. He saw violence and cruelty, wars fought over nothing, hatred and greed and destruction. But he also saw something else. He saw love. He saw parents protecting children, strangers helping strangers, people sacrificing everything for those they cared about. He saw humans laughing and creating and dreaming. He saw them fall and get back up, over and over, refusing to stay down. "Your species is young," his voice said. "Violent and chaotic and unpredictable. My people watched you for thousands of years. We could never decide if you would save the galaxy or destroy it." The vision focused, saw himself through eyes. He saw the auction, the moment he had chosen to save a child he did not know. He saw the battle at Nu, the colonists standing together against impossible odds. "But I have decided," said. "I have seen the truth of humanity in you, not in your strength or your weapons, but in your heart, in the way you feel everything so deeply, in the way you love without calculation, in the way you fight for those who cannot fight for themselves." The vision began to fade. "My people kept the keys hidden because they feared what others would do with them. But secrets cannot be kept forever. The corporations already know enough to be dangerous. If they find this archive, they will take everything." Felt himself returning to his body. "I am the last keeper," said. "When I die, the knowledge dies with me, unless I pass it on." Opened his eyes. He was on his knees in the crystal hall, tears streaming down his face. His head throbbed with pain. His mind felt stretched, changed, expanded in ways he could not describe. Knelt beside him, exhausted but still holding his hand. "You want to give it to me," whispered. "The knowledge, the keys." "Not give, share. My people could not protect this burden alone. Perhaps humanity can help us carry it." "Why me? I'm nobody, a salvage captain, a broken soldier." Smiled. It was a gentle smile, wise beyond his years. "Because you are exactly who you needed to be. A broken man who chose to heal instead of hurt. A soldier who chose to protect instead of destroy. A nobody who chose to be somebody when it mattered most." Before could respond, alarms began to sound throughout the archive. His voice came through the communicator. "Captain, ships incoming, they followed us." His face went pale. "No, it's not possible. They could not have found this place." But they had. A tracker, buried deep in its body, implanted by the slavers years ago. It had been silent, waiting until the corporations activated it, and it had led them straight to the last sanctuary. Struggled to his feet. His mind still ached from the vision, but he forced himself to focus. How many ships? Dozens. It's a fleet, and they're launching landing parties. The corporations had come with everything they had. This was not about bounties anymore. This was about obtaining the greatest prize in the galaxy. Looked at, the boy was trembling, tears in his silver eyes. "I led them here," whispered. "I have doomed my people's last legacy." "No," grabbed his shoulders. "Listen to me. We're not done yet. We're not giving up. There are too many. We cannot fight them all." "Maybe not, but we can try." A voice echoed through the archive's halls. It came from external speakers, broadcast from the lead ship of the attacking fleet. "This is Admiral One of the corporate security fleet. Surrender the child and the archive's contents. You have 5 minutes to comply. After that, we will burn our way in and take what we want." One knew the name. A human who had sold his soul to the corporations. A traitor to his own species who had led the fleet that helped destroy the. 4 minutes, the Admiral continued. "Choose wisely." Came running through the halls. She was breathing hard, her face pale. "What do we do?" she asked. Closed his eyes. He thought about everything he had seen. Everything had shown him, the weight of stars, the secrets of existence, the sleeping horrors that waited in the dark. He thought about his brother, about the promise he had failed to keep. He thought about the brave, lonely child who had trusted him with everything. Then he opened his eyes. "We fight," he said, "and we call for help." He walked to the nearest console and activated the archive's communication systems. They were powerful, far more powerful than anything on his ship. They could broadcast across the entire sector. "What are you doing?" asked. "Something crazy." He began to record a message. "My name is, I'm nobody special, just a man protecting a child, but I have something to tell you, something everyone needs to hear." He told them everything, about the genocide, about the corporations and their mad quest for power, about the keys that could save or destroy the galaxy, about the sleeping horrors that waited if the wrong hands obtained this knowledge. I don't know if this message will reach anyone, he continued. I don't know if anyone will care, but I'm asking anyway. I'm asking because that's what humans do. We ask for help. We stand together. We fight for each other. He paused, then spoke his final words. If you have any humanity left, come help me. He sent the message. One's voice came again, 1 minute. Picked up his rifle, did the same, stood between them, small but determined. Whatever happens, said, I don't regret any of it. Neither do I, said. Took both their hands. Neither do I, he said. The archive's outer doors began to breach. And then, against all odds, against all hope, ships began appearing at the edge of the system. Not corporate ships, human ships, colony ships, salvage vessels, freighters and transports and patrol craft, dozens at first, then hundreds. They had heard his message. They had answered. Humanity had come. The battle for the archive was the largest in human history. Corporate warships faced off against a fleet that should not have existed, colony vessels with makeshift weapons, salvage ships armed with mining lasers, pleasure yachts carrying families who had simply wanted to help. They came from every corner of human space, united by nothing more than a message from a man they had never met. Admiral One watched the chaos from his command ship, the Sovereign Will. His cold face showed the first flicker of genuine surprise. Where did they come from? He demanded. Everywhere, sir, his aide replied, voice trembling. They're still arriving, the numbers. I can see the numbers. Order all ships to engage. We did not come this far to be stopped by farmers and smugglers. The space around the archive exploded with fire. The corporate fleet had better weapons, better training, better ships, but the human volunteers had something else. They had purpose. They had rage. They had the desperate strength of people fighting for something they believed in. A salvage ship rammed a corporate cruiser, sacrificing itself to disable the enemy's main guns. A group of freighters formed a wall between the archive and the attacking fleet, taking hit after hit while others escaped. Pilots died with the names of their children on their lips and smiles on their faces, knowing their sacrifice meant something. Inside the archive, listen to the battle through the communication systems. Every explosion was a life lost. Every cry for help was a human dying for a cause they had only just learned about. They're dying for us, whispered. His silver eyes were wide with horror and wonder. They don't even know us and they're dying for us. That's humanity, said. Her voice was thick with emotion, beautiful and stupid and magnificent. Checked his rifle. The boarding parties, where are they? Multiple breaches on the lower levels, reported, reading the archive's sensors. Corporate Marines, they're fighting through the defenses. Then we stop them here, looked at, stay with, whatever happens, don't let them take you. I want to help fight. You will, just not this way. Your job is to survive, to carry what you carry, promise me. Hesitated, then nodded, I promise. Kissed the top of the boy's head, a gesture that surprised them both. Then he ran toward the sound of gunfire. The archive's halls had become a battlefield. Corporate Marines, armored in black and silver, pushed through the ancient corridors. They cared nothing for the knowledge around them. They only cared about their mission. Met them head-on. He was not a young man anymore. His body was tired, but he had been a soldier once and some skills never fade. He moved through the chaos like a ghost, using the archive's strange architecture to his advantage. He set traps. He created ambushes. He killed with efficiency and without mercy. But there were too many of them. For every Marine he stopped, 3 more appeared. They pushed him back, step by step, toward the heart of the archive. Then he heard the voice. Admiral One stood at the end of the hall. He wore light armor over his uniform, and he carried a plasma sword that hummed with deadly energy. Behind him, a squad of elite soldiers blocked any escape. I wondered when we would meet face to face, one said. He was older than expected, with gray hair and a thin, cruel face. The famous salvage captain, the man who started all this trouble over an alien child. Your one said, the butcher of the... I prefer liberator. We freed the galaxy from an obsolete species that hoarded knowledge they had no right to keep. You murdered billions. I made a difficult decision for the greater good. One smiled. It was the smile of a man who had stopped being human long ago. But I didn't come here to debate philosophy. I came for the boy, and for you. You can't have him. I can, and I will. The only question is how much you want to suffer first. He raised his plasma sword. The fight was not fair. One was younger, faster, augmented with corporate technology that made him stronger than any natural human, was exhausted, wounded, fighting with a simple rifle against a weapon that could cut through steel. But had something the Admiral did not. He had something worth dying for. They fought through the crystal halls, destroying ancient artifacts with their violence. Once blade slashed and burned. Rifle fired and cracked. The Admiral cut shoulder, broke the Admiral's nose. They grappled and struck and bled. You're pathetic, one snarled, kicking to the ground. All this for an alien creature, a thing. You could have been rich. You could have been powerful. Instead, you'll die in an alien ruin, forgotten by everyone. Looked up at him, blood dripping from his mouth. No, he said, I'll die a man, that's more than you can say. One raised his sword for the killing blow and pulled the trigger on the pistol he had hidden behind his back. The shot caught one in the chest, not a kill shot but enough. The Admiral staggered back, shocked, his augmentation struggling to compensate for the damage. Rose to his feet. He walked toward the wounded man, picking up the fallen plasma sword. You asked why I did all this, said. Why I risked everything for a child I didn't know. One tried to speak, but only blood came out. It's because that's what humans are supposed to do. Protect the weak, fight for the helpless, stand against evil even when we're scared, even when we're broken, even when we know we might lose. He stood over the Admiral. You forgot that. You sold your soul for power and called it progress. But in the end, you're nothing. Just another monster who got what he deserved. He ended one with a single stroke. Outside, the battle had turned. The corporate fleet, without their admiral's command, fell into confusion. The human volunteers pressed their advantage, destroying ship after ship. But victory was not yet complete. Found and in the archive's central chamber, they were surrounded by corporate soldiers, cornered, about to be captured. Killed 2 soldiers before they knew he was there. Killed a third, but the fourth grabbed, pressing a weapon to his head. Stop, the soldier shouted. Stop or I kill the freak. Everyone froze. Looked at with calm silver eyes. It's okay, the boy said. I know what I have to do. It don't. But the boy had already begun. His eyes blazed brighter than had ever seen. The light filled the chamber, the halls, the entire archive. It spread outward through the station, through space itself. Felt it touch his mind, not painfully this time, gently, like a friend saying hello. And he understood what was doing. The boy was using the archive systems, amplifying his power, reaching out to every ship in the battle, every mind in the system. He showed them the truth. Not just the corporate soldiers, everyone. He showed them their history, their wisdom, their loss. He showed them the keys, what they could do, what they could destroy. He showed them the sleepers, the horrors that waited in the dark. And he showed them what humanity could be, the best of them, the kindness, the courage, the love, that logic. The vision lasted only seconds, but it changed everything. The soldier holding dropped his weapon. Tears streamed down his face. He fell to his knees. I'm sorry, he whispered. I didn't know, I didn't understand. All across the battlefield, corporate soldiers stopped fighting. Some surrendered, some wept, Some simply sat in silence, overwhelmed by what they had seen. The battle was over. But so was. The boy collapsed, his light faded, his silver eyes closed. Caught him before he hit the ground. A TDO. The boy was so small in his arms, so light. His breathing was shallow, his pulse weak. "He's dying," said her voice breaking. "He used too much. He's burning himself out." "No," held the boy. "No, you don't get to leave. Not now, not after everything." His eyes opened, just barely, a thin sliver of silver. "I did it," he whispered. "I showed them. They understand now. They won't let the corporations win. They'll protect the knowledge, use it wisely. You did great, kid, but you need to rest now. You need to heal." A weak smile crossed the blue face. "I gave too much when I healed you. There's not enough left." "Then take some of mine. Take whatever you need." "It doesn't work that way." "Make it work," was crying now. He hadn't cried in 15 years. "Please, I can't lose another brother, I can't." Reached up and touched his face. "You won't lose me," he said. "I'll always be here, in what I shared with you, in the knowledge you now carry, in the family we built." "That's not enough." "It has to be." His hand fell, his eyes began to close. And then something unexpected happened. Light flowed into the boy. It came from the archive itself, from the crystal walls, the floating symbols, the preserved knowledge of 1,000,000 years, the sanctuary of the giving its last gift to its last child. Gasped, his eyes flew open, color returned to his skin. "What?" he breathed. Laughed through his tears. "I told you, you're not leaving." The archive had saved him. The knowledge ancestors had protected had reached across time and death to protect their final son. 3 years later, the galaxy had changed. The corporations that had sought the knowledge were broken. Their leaders faced justice. Their power was scattered. A new coalition had formed, led by humans but including species from across the galaxy. They called themselves the Keepers, and their mission was simple: protect knowledge, share it wisely, and never let what happened to anyone else. Stood on a hill overlooking New, the colony had grown. New buildings rose beside the old. Families from a dozen worlds had made their homes here. Below, in a large building that served as a school, was teaching. The boy had grown taller, stronger. He was still blue-skinned with silver eyes, still carrying the knowledge of his dead people. But he was no longer alone. He had students now, human and alien children, learning the wisdom of the ages. Walked up beside. She had stayed, as she always did. She ran the school's engineering program, teaching young minds how to build and repair and create. "He's good at this," she said, watching through the window. "He is. You're good at it too. The kids love you." Smiled. "They think I'm scary. They think you're a hero. There's a difference." A ship landed at the nearby port. It carried a new group of refugees, children from a world destroyed by war. They walked down the ramp, scared and uncertain, looking at this strange new place. Walked out to meet them. He knelt down to talk to them, his voice gentle, his silver eyes kind. One of the children, a little girl, started crying. She was scared, lost, alone. Took her hand. "I know you're afraid," he said. "I was too once, but someone taught me that fear can become courage, pain can become purpose." He looked up at who stood watching from the hill. "He'll teach you to be strong," told the girl, "and I'll teach you to be wise, and together we'll make sure no child ever has to be afraid again." The girl looked up at him. Slowly the tears stopped. She nodded. Turned away, hiding his own tears. He walked back toward the school, toward the life he had built, toward the family he had found. He was still nobody special, just a man who had made a choice. But sometimes that was enough. Sometimes one choice could change everything. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, where the stars burned eternal, the sleepers continued to wait. But they would not wake today. because humanity was watching. And they had learned to care.